Embarrassing performance by the Green Bay Packers. Pathetic would be a better word. I'm waiting there. At the end of the ball game, I am saying, and Joe Barry, there it is today. A pathetic by the Packers. They needed it, had to have it, and they lost. I mean, look at that. Just a terrible. I mean, Baker Mayfield, he didn't know. He literally didn't know. He had an absolute perfect. It doesn't get any better. 20-28. Probably now all bad passes, specifically late. But basically, here it goes. He touched the ball 8 times on the opening drive. 13 carries. Story today. Again, and 1 in the air. The total that they had today was 452 yards. And they had guys, Godwin still, Godwin was in the scene, I mean, all over the place. And it wasn't like anybody specific. It was soft zone, it was terrible, it was pathetic, whatever attitude you want to throw in there, feel free to use it. Feel free to use it. I hope it's free. Joe Barry very the defensive Barry is
and you can track us down. That's where you can find us. You can also hit us up on the email side of things, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. You can find us there. You can find us over on the live stream. You can track us down over there as well, and find us. But do I believe Joe Barry has a defense that he's going to be working with tomorrow? Yes, but I believe that he'll be fired at the end of the season. I believe he's going to be fired at the end of the season. I'll put it this way. Philadelphia is vying for the top spot in their division. They're trying to effort forward. And they very quietly fired their defensive coordinator during the break over the week. I mean, that was a terrible defensive scheme today. Most of the time they rushed 4. Didn't do a whole lot as far as dialing up pressures. The 1 or 2 times they did, it didn't matter. Baker Mayfield saw it, picked it up, and it was usually Godwin over the middle. I mean, it was bad defense today. And again, this one's from Thomas, who said Joe Barry was terrible. What about Jordan Love today? He missed what I counted 5 times. I counted 4. So if you counted 5, okay. But he didn't play a bad game. But this offense, I didn't like the play calling. There wasn't a whole lot of the motion that we'd seen in the past. Every now and then you'd see it, but not a lot. But then again, you kind of felt like the game was getting away from them. Therefore, they had to throw the football. But the offense, 20 points, that's not going to win you games. But man, oh, man. Man, oh, man. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Let's go right to the phone calls. Let's go to Colton listening to us right here in Green Bay. Colton, how you doing today, man? What's up?
Hey, Bill, thank you so much for having me on. And, being big diehard Packers fan that I am, just disgusted with the defense. Everything that you said was spot on to allow 381 passing yards. And you know what? They never changed the defensive game plan. They come out at halftime and they still got Devondre Campbell in zone against these wide receivers. They couldn't stop him on third down. And the main thing is they couldn't stop Chris Godwin or Mike Evans. And they allowed Baker Mayfield to pass all day on him. I thought Jordan Love played good as he did. And, I noticed they stopped giving Aaron Jones the ball after the first quarter. I don't know what happened to that. I know coming into the second half, they go 3-0. And right before, right in the second quarter, they got a minute left to drive down the field, 3 timeouts. And what do? We don't stop them. We let them drive all the way down the field and kick a field goal. Yep. It's just defensive game plays like that just hurt us so bad. And I don't know why the Green Bay Packers organization ever allowed Joe Barry to come on in. And I don't think he deserves any more games. He doesn't. I've seen enough from him, and he's failed time and time again. Don't fire him after 3 more games. Fire him now.
I would fire him now. I'll agree with you. I'd fire him now.
Yeah, and you made a good point with the Eagles. They got rid of their defensive coordinator, wasn't working out, and they let him go.
Right.
Why can't the Packers do that?
I agree.
And I just we had the chance to be able to win these games, and we're not winning them. We got a 26% chance to get into the playoffs now, and just really, really drastically hurts us. And it's like we can't be losing these games, and let alone we're losing at home.
Yep.
It's just. Thank you so much for having me on, Bill. I really, really appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Colton. Talk to you soon. Here's the other thing. It's now 2 straight losses for Matt LaFleur in the month of December after going 16-0. And when you talk about firing Joe Barry, first of all, if you even think about playoffs at this point, which would be a disappointment if they don't get there, it would be. I know people say it wouldn't be because they didn't have that expectation, but for where they were, what they were doing, the place they were sitting in, they should have been able to make the postseason, and they're not going to. They got to win out because 8 wins is not going to get you there. 9 wins will get you there. And that'll only be with tiebreakers. And now you've lost another game in conference. Today was just a bad day. I had a good feeling coming in today too. I did. I got here. It was kind of a Green Bay kind of weather. It was gloomy. It was misty. It was rainy. And it was like the fans had energy. The place got loud when it needed to, and it's just every damn time the defense allowed Baker Mayfield to absolutely suck the life out of this place. Just suck the life out of this place. So a very disappointing and embarrassing loss today by the Green Bay Packers to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the top of the hour. Stay right where you're at. We got about a minute and a half here. Stay right where you're at. Because we got Elle from Philly on the line, Gerard listening to us in Delaware. We got all kinds of comments we want to get to over on the live stream. Stay right where you're at. We're going to just take a quick network break, just for like a minute, and then we're going to come right back. And then the entire network's going to be on board. And it is time to open up the phone lines, time to open up the emails, time to see events over on the live stream. Just a pathetic defensive performance today by the Green Bay Packers. 2 hours to go. Bring it. The Green and Gold Postgame Show. Packers get knocked off 34-20, and it wasn't even that close. More coming up right after this.
This is the Green and Gold Postgame Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes.
An absolutely embarrassing performance at Lambeau Field. Baker Mayfield becomes the first quarterback ever with a perfect passer rating at Lambeau Field. The first visiting quarterback ever with a perfect passer rating at Lambeau Field. The Packers get beat 34-20. And they get knocked off by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and their postseason hopes really become an uphill battle now. They have basically to win out. That's it. Carolina, Minnesota, and then the Bears, if they're going to find their way into the postseason, that's it. Here's the next question, and I think this is a legitimate question. Here's the next question. Is what we saw against the Lions and against the Bears merely an apparition? I mean, think about that. Is what we saw against those two teams, was that like buying into fool's gold? Did we witness something that we thought was great and really it turns out it was just a fake, it was a lie? You know, do you go back and look at the way they played against the Lions, the way they played against the Raiders, the way they played against the Broncos, the way they played against the Vikings? Do you go back to that and go, you know what? What we witnessed really wasn't real. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Let's get right back to the phone calls. Let's go to our buddy L listening to us in Philadelphia. L, what's going on, man? You got to be frustrated as hell.
Yeah, death by 1,000 cuts, but today was the last cut to see to say he needs to go. Like today, I want to see an ESPN notification to my phone, possibly tomorrow morning when I wake up, that he's been fired. Not waiting to the end of the season. We need to end this now. I don't know who could slide in interim wise, but nevertheless, have somebody else come in for the next 3 games, and then go after Al Harris in the offseason, man. That's what you do. You got a guy that played in Green Bay, played the defensive side of the ball. He's a young, fresh face. I don't want to see no old, washed up, old scheme having dudes like a Dom Capers type of guy or a Rex Ryan. I don't want to see none of these dudes. We need a young face in that locker room with these young guys to motivate them to play with something that can actually confuse the opposite team. This is ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
How in the world do you constantly have Devondre Campbell on Chris Godwin? Okay, first time you get got. Second time it happens. But you don't make no type of adjustments or nothing at all. we could have at least a defensive back on him, let alone a safety, somebody.
Yeah.
You would have your linebacker who acts like he can't attack nothing anyway. He could go too, to be honest. But I'd rather go with our young guys that we have. He sucks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be completely honest. But nevertheless, we got Joe Barry got to go. And he got what's name could go right along with him. And like I said, man, have one of these other guys come in interim wise. Hopefully somebody young on that coaching staff that can get these guys fired up, man. Like I feel like a fool even thinking that we were a playoff team. Because we aren't going to be anybody in the playoffs defense like this. Like we're not.
Right.
And to answer your question about the other two games being Mauritius or whatever, I feel like with him, I mean, the broke clock is right twice a day. So you can't have 15 straight weeks of bad planning. You're going to have good planning against a couple, at least one or two times during the season. But at the same time, his problem is when people come out and they punch you in the mouth, he doesn't know how to adjust at all.
Right.
And he'll just save another the whole game. Like, how are you not blitzing Baker Mayfield? How?
Yeah, he only did it a couple of times. That was it.
Yeah, exactly. And then Matt LaFleur, too. Let me get on this side of the ball. He's on the clock, too. Now, he doesn't deserve to get fired today. I'm not saying that. I'm not being outlandish or anything crazy. But end of the season, next year, this is your year. If you don't get us somewhere deep in the playoffs or something next year or make some noise with this team, with all these first-round picks we got on the first on all defense and these young guys that are promising, because it's not all Jordan Love. You got to put them in the right position, too.
Yeah.
Play calling, like I agree with what you said earlier. Like, he's on the clock, too. But nevertheless, Joe Barry got to go. ASAP. I'm talking about like real time, like right now. He got to go.
I would agree. All right, buddy. Way to go. That's it.
Thank you.
If you fire him, you'd automatically probably promote like Jerry Montgomery, who's the defensive line guy. He's the run game coordinator. Maybe a guy like Greg Williams, the passing game coordinator. Kirk Olivadotti, who's been with the inside linebackers for a while. I mean, one of those guys. You'd probably, give them the coordinator position and the temporary play caller, whoever's got that experience. But I'd get rid of Joe Barry and just say, hey, whoever, you got to go down swinging. You can't keep going down doing the same crap, watching this same thing happen. I mean, you were embarrassed today. I mean, Godwin was over, like that inside cross was open all day long. And it was always in between two defenders. It wasn't like it was tight man or something. It was always just right in the seam between two defenders all day long. All day long. I want to hear Baker Mayfield's press conference where he goes, I have no idea why they didn't make an adjustment. It was just there. So I just kept throwing it there. And I kept waiting for them to make a play. And they didn't. And it was like Groundhog Day. And I was Bill Murray. And I dropped back, and there it was. And I dropped back, and there was Godwin. And I dropped back, and there it was. And I dropped back, and it was this seam. And there was Godwin. And they didn't do anything. Nothing changed. I mean, just a terrible performance today by that Packers defense. Terrible, to say the very least. Let's go to our buddy Gerard listening to us in Delaware. Gerard, what's going on, man?
Well, Bill, since they started playing the 3-4, that was the worst play I think I've ever seen by two inside linebackers for the Packers. Walker, and I think I wrote this, Walker didn't know where he was going half the time. He was lost. I was watching him. I'm going, what is he doing? What? And Campbell, forget about it. I think they don't bring Campbell back. Because he's hurt a lot, and his play has been really not great, to say the least. Now, as far as the coaching staff, Matt Ryan, and I want to bring this point up. Matt Ryan said, and he knows a little bit about playing quarterback. He commented on Love's footwork, and then he played a quote by Love saying, "No, he didn't play it. He read it. He read a quote by Love saying, well, we got to correct that." Okay. 4 years they had Love. Now, he wasn't a 6th-round pick. He was a 1st-round pick. Okay, so 4 years they have this guy. They see him in workouts, this, that, and the other thing. They don't know what he was doing, how he was moving his feet, how he was jumping when he was passing. The coaching staff did nothing about that. So now we got to take the off season to try to correct that. Now, all these people Okay, Barry is. Look, I don't want to fire Barry tomorrow, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I don't want him to bring an in-house guy to take his place and then think at the end of the year he might be the guy we bring back because we could pay him a lot less. I don't want that. So I want him. He's going to leave anyway. He's a free agent at the end of the year. His contract's up. So let him go. I don't want them firing him now because I know their game that they play. They do this a lot. Okay? So, look, here's LaFleur. Had this team with a Hall of Fame quarterback, a Hall of Fame receiver, all these other good players he had back then. Couldn't bring them to the Super Bowl. Always the San Francisco game, the other game against Tampa Bay had the opportunities, only scored a couple of points off, I don't know how many turnovers, whatever. Why is everybody so set on bringing LaFleur back? Why? What has this guy done that he deserves to bring this team back? Why? Because he has some sort of continuity? Come
No,
on.
I would say if this team doesn't make the postseason, I would seriously consider just cleaning house.
I would do it, Bill.
I would probably do it. Now, okay, here's the thing, Gerard. You and I would look at it as, what are they doing? And they're going to say, well, for the sake of continuity, we're going to keep it that way. However, what you and I would say is, look, this is a guy that had the team on the precipice of getting into the postseason, coming off of 2 huge wins. They lost to a terrible Giants team, and then their defense completely gave it away against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he did nothing about his defense. And his offense didn't build upon the success that they had against the Lions and didn't build upon the success that they had against the Chiefs. You mean to tell me this defense or this offense only functions downfield when you've got Christian Watson and that's it? You mean to tell me that the only time this defense can play decent is if you find soft zone coverage works against teams that can't throw downfield? Baker Mayfield threw a touchdown in every level of the field. He threw one behind the line of scrimmage. He threw 3 off to the right, a 5-yard, a 15-yard, and then threw a deep pass down to the left. Everything today went to the right, and they couldn't effing figure it out? You shouldn't even be allowed to go down and address the team. You should immediately Joe Barry should be fired, and Matt LaFleur should be firmly on the hot seat. That's my thought.
And now, he talks a lot about love, which is fine. And Al, you're right in a lot of ways, but where is the coaching? Like I said, the last 4 years, if LaFleur is such a great coach, offensive coach, how come this guy's still jumping in the air and inaccurately throwing the ball? It's fundamentals. How come he doesn't know fundamentals? How come?
I don't know.
It's not like his first year.
Where's Tom Clements, right?
Where are people? Where are the quarterback coaches? Where is this stuff? Where are the guys that have been watching him? They haven't seen this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So what I want to, Bill, you should, really, in my opinion, you should ask this during the week. Why should, we all know why Barry shouldn't be brought back, but please, somebody give me an answer of why should LaFleur be brought back? A real answer of what has he done that he deserves to bring this team to where a Super Bowl is when he couldn't bring a team that was already there with a Hall of Fame and everybody else set for him, and he couldn't do it. So what makes anybody think that he can do it with this team? What? Are you scared of change? What is it? What is it with people?
I get it. I completely get it. Gerard, I got to take a break here. I'm up against it. But I completely, absolutely. I get it. Look, do I think Matt LaFleur should be fired now or fired at the end of the season? Not yet. I want to see again how this team responds. But you've seen a lot of times where things are right there. You saw it in the postseason when they ended up failing. Part of that we know. Rodgers didn't run the ball in, but he also choked and kicked a field goal and didn't give him the opportunity to. You saw what they did last year against the Lions when they absolutely positively have to had it, and they choked it away there. You saw the bad decision-making against San Francisco, going with a line that had not played together for pretty much most of the season to keep them in that ball game, to watch them get their ass kicked time and again, and refusing to go back to what was working prior to that got them there. And then a game today that you had to have. The Giants, you needed, you got to win. You got to win out. If you're going to think about the postseason and postseason experience at all, you got to win out. Love didn't play bad today. There's just certain things that he does that you can see that have to be corrected. But Love didn't play bad today. It wasn't like a terrible day for Jordan Love. It wasn't like, today was a day that you went, you know what? Jordan Love, not the guy. No. 29 of 39, 284 yards, a couple of touchdowns, quarterback rating of 111.5. It's not a bad day at the office. 9 times out of 10, you and I would take that. But when you're going against a guy in Baker Mayfield who is unstoppable because this defense can't figure out a way to cover Chris Godwin. I mean, unstoppable. And you give up 381 yards and 4 touchdown passes, can't tackle. Your guys look like they're almost giving up at some point. I'm like, wow. So let's do this. We'll step away. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get back into it. Hang in there. Got a lot more to get to. I want to get all of your phone calls, emails, and such in. Go ahead and give us a shout, 877-867-1670. We'll get to Mike. We'll get to Bob. Everybody that's on hold, stay right where you're at. Packers lose 34-20, but the defense today was garbage. More. We are live at Burkle's, one block over, the old Champions Pub. Come on by and say hi. A lot of people here venting frustration as well. We got more coming up after this.
This is the Green and Gold Postgame Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes.
$34-20 is the final. The Packers get knocked off at Lambeau Field. Welcome back. And they needed to climb back to 500. They needed to get to 10 wins to solidify themselves a position in the postseason. Now they got to win out just to get to 9 wins and hope for help along the way. And the way this team played today, to be quite honest with you, they don't deserve to be in the postseason. This Joe Barry defense that we talked about, scoring defense and how they have been, and today was pathetic. There was nothing. There was nothing from that defense today. There was nothing. Man, I just, oh God, there was just nothing. There was nothing to it. It was bad coverage, and that crossing pattern coming off of the right side, that crossing down the seam, the Packers just couldn't figure it out. They just couldn't see it. Man, I just, just bad. I think they blitz. I saw them blitz that I knew of once. They sent a 5th rusher, and he stunted and got picked up at the line of scrimmage. Tampa Bay blocked it perfectly. And as a matter of fact, I think it was a pass over the middle. I don't know if it was Godwin or not, but it was a pass over the middle, and off it went. So just a bad day. A really, really, really bad day. 877-867-1670. Let's get back to the phone calls. 877-867-1670. Let's go to Mike listening to us in Rockford. Mike, how you doing today, man?
Not good, Bill, because of the game, but
Oh, I can't hear him. I lost Mike. Did we lose him? There you go. Mike, you back?
I'm here.
There we go. Go ahead now. Try it again.
Okay, sorry about that. I said as much as Joe Barry stinks, what stinks even worse is the fact that we've got, how many number 1 picks on this defense? And they got this clown running the show.
Right. Yeah, you had 8 to start the season. I think you had, 6 out there today. I know Jair was inactive again, and I don't know what the hell's going on with him, but he was inactive again today. But it just, look, it doesn't matter where you put people. It looks like they're always chasing their tail. They're always trailing. They're always finding a play downfield where they're trying to play catch up, and that's the problem.
Yeah, it's terrible. Then I don't know what they're going to do. They got to get rid of Joe Barry.
Yep, I would agree. I would wholeheartedly agree. Appreciate the phone call, man. Let's go back to it. Let's go right to Bob and Shawano. Bob, welcome to the program, man. What's happening today?
Not much. I appreciate the line. Put me down as one of those callers that wants LaFleur out of there. And I got to echo the guy from Delaware, some of his points. But with regard, and what he's been here 5 seasons, what has he done other than wet the bed a handful of times in the postseason? When I look at this season, I know it's going to be trendy for the next 3 weeks, the dogpile on Barry. He's not the reason why. It was the guy that hired him and the guy that held on to him. And, LaFleur was damn near borderline arrogant last season at the end of the season when he said, no, there's not going to be any changes here. What on earth, if you're not going to change the most fundamental things like a DC, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
I look at it this way. If he's going to fill these slots with his good old boys club and then he doesn't have the stones to axe them when it goes sour, then he ought to be tied to it just the same way as Barry's going to be. Last week at the postgame presser with the Giants, yeah, that was a bad call on my part. Thanks, Matt, for owning it. What you don't get is any accountability. And that's my point here. Where's the accountability on LaFleur?
Well, LaFleur's, at the beginning of this, I appreciate the phone call. At the beginning of the season, we said Matt LaFleur hung on to him. That was Matt's decision, clearly Matt's decision. Packers didn't want to move on. They didn't want to do anything. That was his decision. And I said at the time, if things go bad because of this defense, he could end up hanging onto the boat anchor that drags him down as well. And some of the play calling obviously is questionable. And through that 2-game period, 3-game period, we looked at this thing and we thought, boy, the offense is coming along. Jordan Love is coming along. Things are looking really good. You give Matt LaFleur a lot of credit. The defense was doing just enough to hang in there. They weren't losing games, but they weren't winning them either. And you thought, okay, maybe there's growth. But this, it's not, going back to how many times we're going to have to hear, well, we didn't play complimentary football. Because we're going to hear that again today. We all know that. It's coming. We know it. Because the defense was terrible. They were terrible. And the offense really didn't do a whole lot. They did what they could. And, don't forget, they also had one of their touchdowns today, getting the ball back on, the 3-yard line? So, on a short field, the play call on 4th down, which I still don't understand, when they go for it down deep in Tampa Bay territory early on in the ball game, Aaron Jones is having, a quarter, man. He is running in a will. The 3rd down call was crap. Everybody saw it coming. But then you go to shotgun, you take Aaron Jones out of the game and split everybody wide, keeping Taylor in the block. Now, Taylor blocked, but the pass was terrible, way off the mark. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? 877-867-1670. Sawyer listening to us in Chippewa. Sawyer, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Doing well. How about you, Bill?
Doing good. Today's a day to vent. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Big fan of the show. Just want to say that I love all the work that you and Grant do for
Thank you.
us Packer fans in Wisconsin. I'll start with the offense. I think at this point in the season, you got to see what Matt and Jordan have building. I think you can see the relationship building there throughout the season and some of the offensive schemes. And with Matt LaFleur's offense, there's a lot of options that come within the play calling. So it's like, the RPO stuff. A lot of it's Jordan's reads. So he's giving Jordan a lot of flexibility there. But that's just going to take time, and especially when you're working with backups who are 5th and 6th round picks and undrafted free agents, it's tough to see. But
right.
With the defense, we all know this Packers organization and the way that they run. They're not going to let a coach go in the middle of the season as much as we want to see it as fans.
Right.
Joe Barry's going to be in the building this coming week and throughout the season. Luckily, his contract is up at the end of the year, so they can move on afterwards. But, it's tough to see. Joe Barry has a defense that's about as soft as Sharman, so it's tough to see.
It's, the pass rush has been okay this season. The run game has been absolutely terrible. And then you have games where New York is able to put up points, and in the most crucial of moments, they can't stifle anybody. And then obviously today you get a wide receiver that finds a soft seam and you have no adjustment for that. It was just an embarrassment today. I appreciate the phone calls.
I think my only comment would be, if you can see that the key matchup that they're focusing on is Devondre Campbell guarding Chris Godwin,
right,
who's an elite receiver. He just hasn't had the opportunities this year. They don't make any adjustments to that. They just have their inside linebacker covering an elite slot receiver down in and down out. Like, you got to make adjustments.
Yeah,
and it was tough to see them getting gashed.
I couldn't fathom why it happened over and over and over again. And you don't at some point say, even if they're going to continue to do it, then either leave Quay Walker or Campbell on the field and take the other one off and put in another back. They're killing you.
It was like clockwork. As soon as third and long came, you knew they were going to Godwin across the middle, and Devondre Campbell was going to be a click off, because that's not what he's supposed to do as an inside linebacker. Right.
No, I 100% agree with you. Appreciate the phone call. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Here's the other stark number for you today. You want to really choke on something? Here's something for you. Today, the 3rd down efficiency for the Buccaneers, they were 7 of 11, 63.6% on 3rd down. The Packers just couldn't get off the field. 63.6%. That's terrible. Today, you had one punt. One punt today out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You only had 2 out of the Packers. The Packers were able to move the football a little bit at least today. They turned it over on downs once, and They ended up getting a short field and such, and they were 6 of 12 and 50%. And that's not bad offensively. Normally, with the numbers they put up, you'd probably win a few ball games. But when your defense is that bad, 452 total net yards today, that is absolutely positively awful. All right, hang in there. We got a lot of people on hold. If you're on hold, Sawyer and company, then Tori and we got all of that. And we got Matt LaFleur coming up here in a minute or two. So stay. Well, I don't know. We got to take a break. Let's do this. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Packers lose 34-20. We're live at Burkle's, one block over. We're right behind Stadium View over at the old Champions Pub. Good crowd in here too. Not a happy crowd. And everybody that walks through the door is chanting, fire Joe Barry. But at least everybody's on the same page. More of the Green and Gold Postgame Show coming up next.
This is the Green and Gold Postgame Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. It's the Green and Gold Postgame Show. We are live, and we are Burkle's one block over, right behind Stadium View, the old Champions Pub. Good to have you on board tonight. Thanks so much for taking a listen to us. We always appreciate all you Packers fans and others from outside the area taking a listen to us as well. 34-20, the Green Bay Packers flat out could not stop Baker Mayfield. He looked like Johnny Unitas and Joe Montana all rolled into one, man. He was on target. And Godwin was running free, and tackles were being broken, and it was pathetic. And if you're on the line, hang on. Stay right where you're at, because what I want you to do is listen. Matt LaFleur at the podium, then we'll react to what Matt LaFleur has to say. Here's what Matt LaFleur has to say after the game.
Credit, they came in, they whooped us in every phase. Outcoached us, outplayed us, and it's disappointing. I know the guys in the locker room are disappointed. A lot of time and effort goes into this thing, but ultimately, we got to play better. We got to coach better.
Now, what happened on defense? What did they do to you?
Well, they got a lot of explosion plays, and looking at the drive chart here, not a lot of stops. We had the 1 3 and out. They fumbled one time. And every other possession ended up in points. So it's going to be tough to win a football game when that happens.
What's the defensive game plan when Godwin's being matched up against the linebackers for a lot of the time?
Well, it just all depends on the coverage, right? When you're in shell defense, that happens. Matter of fact, we had one of our receivers matched up on an outside linebacker, and we didn't win on the play. We didn't win on the route. We were playing quarters coverage. We ran a lookie route. The linebacker did a great job of taking the air out of it. So it's not like an anomaly. This happens all the time. But we got to play things better, and we got to coach it better. Bottom line.
Earlier in the season, you had some games where stopping the run was an issue. Last couple of weeks, you've been hit by the passing game. What does it tell you when, if it's not one thing, it's another that's hurting you?
Yeah, they're beating us. I mean, they're out coaching us, they're out scheming us, and out playing us ultimately. So typically, if you want to take one of the things away, you typically can do that. And unfortunately, I think it all stems, though, when you do have trouble stopping the run and you start committing more people, it leaves you exposed on the back end. And that's why I think you got to play that game in terms of trying to guess when it's going to be run and pass and call the appropriate defense, whatever it may be. And, but again, give credit to Tampa. They got some really good players. Baker went out and shredded us, and it's disappointing, obviously, because we sacked him 5 times, and ultimately that still wasn't enough. And there were some situations where we got them in 3rd and long, they throw a screen, get a first down. The possession right before the end of the half was extremely disappointing. Was it 2nd and 29 or whatever, and they get a big explosion play, that leads to points. So, got to go back and take a look at it and find out why that exactly happened. But ultimately, just it wasn't good enough.
They seem to have a pretty easy time against zone, just from the looks of it. Would you have liked to see some different calls in terms of your coverages?
Yeah, hindsight's 20/20. Absolutely. We got a challenge much better, I'd say, in the back end in terms of, I get it. They got some good wideouts, but you gotta be willing to challenge, especially if you're getting gashed, just changing it up, and I'll go back and take a peek at it right after we're done here.
Matt, would you ever consider an in-season change at coordinator?
Now's not the time for that, to be honest with you.
Why is that?
Because now's not the time. I'm trying to find solutions, and I got to go back and take a look at the film.
Matt, what did you think of what you guys did offensively, at least early, and then tell me what happened towards the end?
Yeah, it was pretty inconsistent, I'd say. I thought, we got down in the red area and weren't good enough, and give Tampa a lot of credit. They're very good down there. They're one of the top in the league. And we knew that. We knew we were going to have to score touchdowns and not kick field goals. And, they kept us out of the end zone quite a bit. We overcame the 1 3rd and a mile. Jordan and Jaden made a great off-schedule play for the touchdown. But, disappointed. Thought we kind of got away from the run a little bit too much in the second half. It was working early on. Just got away from it, and put us in some bad spots. Put our quarterback at risk. Give Tampa a lot of credit. They all outed us a couple times, and we didn't have the appropriate answers. So that falls on me 100%. Just got to make sure that we have better answers for our guys.
Decided to go for it on 4th and 2 in your first possession of the game. What led to going for it instead of taking the points early on?
That's just typically our philosophy. When you're in a situation there, we're going to be aggressive. And although it didn't work out, you could argue it did work out because they turned the ball over and we ended up scoring. And that's just philosophically, we believe that in being aggressive down there, especially when it's manageable situations. I want to say we had another 4th and 5 where we kicked the field goal. But when it's 4th and short, I would say generally we're going to probably go for it if we're, inside the 10-yard line. And with the hope that worst case scenario, you can hold them, get the ball back, and you're still in pretty good scoring range. It doesn't always work out that way, but that's just what we believe.
What was the thinking with going with Stokes right off the bat there after coming up by Aaron?
Well, he's been practicing for a few weeks. Felt like he was ready to go.
There you go. They're going to get into the minutiae now. Look, Bill Huber, kudos to him. He said, do you think it's time to make a change, defensive coordinator? Now's not the time for that. And Bill, instead of just taking it, he went, why? Well, because now's not the time. Matt LaFleur did not have an answer. I'm trying to fix the problems. Well, maybe that's your problem. Maybe that's your DD problem, is that you've got a guy that's playing milquetoast that can't figure it out on the fly. He keeps talking about going back and looking, and we all can see it. If we can see it, why can't the head coach see it? That's what I don't understand. He didn't have an answer for Bill Huber. Kudos to Bill Huber for asking the question. He didn't have it. He keeps giving credit to the opponent, keeps talking about the play, and they outplayed us, they outcoached us. How many times you got to hear that? Before, hey, maybe it's the execution, but the coaching was great. We put guys in position to make plays. Okay, I can live with that. Guys don't make plays. Okay, you can kind of live with that. But the question was, why would you not consider a change at defensive coordinator? Now's not the time for that. I'm trying to figure out solutions. Well, maybe that's your solution, Matt. Otherwise, you're part of the problem. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Let's go to Tori. Tori, welcome to the program and the Green and Gold Postgame Show. What's going on?
Hey, how's it going, Bill?
Doing well.
Yeah, good to hear it. I'm not that disappointed about the Packers. I mean, we all knew it's a new season, new quarterback. It is what it is. Everybody's saying fire Joe Barry. Well, if you fire Joe Barry, you got to fire Matt LaFleur because they're tied at the hip. And most of your callers, before I called in and talked to your call screener, thank you very much for allowing me to talk to Bill. Everybody made that point.
Mm-hmm.
Second of all, Jalen Reed is not Debo Sanders. Jalen Reed is a rookie, and I wrote it down.
Right.
what, 5'11", 187 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Debo Sanders is 6 foot, 215 pounds,
right.
and he was not Debo Samuel until a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to run this rookie into the ground. You're going to hurt him. He was questionable coming into the game. He got hurt again.
He went toe
and
injury.
you keep going to him. Yeah, it's like, what, if you get it once here or there, cool. But why are you going to this rookie? I don't like the play call. And how many times has Matt LaFleur said, we got out-coached this year? It's hard to get out-coached when you have Aaron Rodgers. It's a different story to get out-coached when you have Jordan Reed.
Mm-hmm.
Or Jordan Love, sorry.
Right.
But they're tied to the hip, and we're going to play it out. Nobody's going to get fired. We're going to readjust at the end of the season and see where we go. And guess what? Hard Knocks, HBO, baby. We're going to knock down the silos when HBO comes a knocking.
Yeah,
So,
probably.
Thank you, Bill.
Appreciate it. Here's the thing. When it comes to that, when it comes to your thinking, I could agree with you if this team didn't show promise against the Lions, against the Chargers, against the Steelers, against the Chiefs. If they didn't play better. And then all of a sudden they revert back to this. Now, when you talk about Jaden Reed, I mean, part of it is you got to use Jaden Reed because you're down to basically one running back. So you got to mix some things in there. I agree with you. The whole comparison to Debo Samuel, yeah, they're using him in different offensive settings. I understand that, but he's not Debo Samuel. We all know that. Okay, that I understand. But when you talk about, well, they're a young team, not defensively they're not. This defense should not be this way. This defense, for the most part, has been together for some time. The only new additions to the defense are an outside linebacker in Van Ness who sees rotational snaps at best, and then Devontae Wyatt and Quay Walker. Other than that, this started out the season with a completely veteran defense in many different facets. It's like there's always a built-in excuse to accept ineptitude. And there just shouldn't be. There just shouldn't be. And when you're specifically asked a question of, is it time to make a change in defensive coordinator? Now's not the time. Why is now not the time? Because I'm trying to correct problems. He didn't say, hey, Joe's trying to correct problems. He said, I'm trying to correct problems. If you've got to take that on yourself, you already know that your defensive coordinator shouldn't be here. Just make the change. Your own answer is dictatorial to what it is you need to do. I don't know. I don't know. Let's do this. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We got a lot more to get to. Stay tuned right where you're at. Got a lot of people on the live stream. Great group of people over there. Got a lot of people on hold as well. 34-20 Packers get knocked off. We are live. We're at Burkle's. One block over, and we're still talking to Packers fans here in-house. You see everybody walking around, kind of milling around here. Nobody's celebrating anything. That's for damn sure. And everybody cheers and kind of looks at me when I start talking about getting rid of Joe Barry. So it seems to be the thought process throughout. Stay tuned. Got more of the Green and Gold postgame show coming up.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Phil Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Phil Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, make it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
Welcome back. Good. Glad to have you. Packers get knocked off, and they get beat by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, a perfect quarterback rating today. 4 touchdown passes, 381 yards, and just looked magnificent. Chris Godwin, the soft seam all day, getting matched up on linebackers all day. No answer by the Green Bay Packers defense and Joe Barry all day. And the Packers go down very quietly into that good night, 34-20. The final, we'll hear from Jordan Love coming up here in a little bit. We got Mike Clemens standing by over in Lambeau Field in the next hour, so we're going to talk with him. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up, please feel free. Go ahead and give us a shout. Again, 877-867-1670. We're going to hear from Jordan Love. I want to get to Jordan Love right after the top of the hour. So I know we're a little bit short and it wouldn't do it justice. So I want to get to Jordan Love right after the top of the hour. We'll kind of hold on to that for just a short period of time. But a lot of people chiming in over on the live stream. Thanks to all of you who are. Got a lot of different comments here. This one is from Mark, who writes via the email inbox. He said, how many times are we going to hear that this team was out-coached? Isn't that Matt LaFleur's job? I'm getting sick and tired of the same old excuse. He's always got to look at the film, and he's always out-coached. If you're that poorly out-coached, give your salary back and give the job to somebody who can actually coach. This team is hot fire mess garbage right now, Matt, and it's all your fault. You hung on to a bad guy in Joe Barry because of continuity. Well, the continuity is the exact same. It still sucks. Appreciate the email. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up and want to chime in, let your voice be heard, go ahead and do so. Again, 877-867-1670. Would love to hear from you. Let's see here. What else do we got? This one's an email here. This one is from Mark. Mark says, hey, guys, I don't think it's terrible, but I think it's fixable. I think a new defensive coordinator would come in and be able to maybe change things and add a breath of enthusiasm into this team. It's just another embarrassing loss for Joe Barry, another feather in the cap for somebody who doesn't deserve to even wear the helmet that's got a G on the side. JD says, unit Packers fans and homers, and I'm sure the vast majority would like to see maybe Jim Leonard replace Barry next year. Personally, I think we're past the point of trying something new, and we should just bring a proven coordinator. There's no doubt Leonard's a great college defensive coordinator, but he's not proven in the NFL. What are your thoughts? Great show, crappy loss. JD, I don't know. He's young enough to relate. He's out of the game short enough to be able to relate. I don't know that, I mean, schemes are schemes. His defenses were good, and he was able to bring pressure when needed. I would not have a problem if they went in the direction of Jim Leonard, but Jim Leonard is the heartfelt guy, and if he's not the guy, then you gotta make a move within a couple of years, and that's not an easy thing to do for a guy that's right here in your own backyard. I mean, I don't know how, I don't know how coveted he is, but it is what it is. Dennis says another embarrassing loss, and it's all on Matt LaFleur. I'm pretty damn clear that Aaron Rodgers covered LaFleur's many bad play calls. LaFleur protects the totally incompetent Joe Barry. The constant blitzing on Love made it hard for the Packers offense to get into a rhythm. On the other hand, the totally incompetent Joe Barry with a four-man rush and really no quarterback pressure, allowed Mayfield to look like the MVP. Mark Murphy protects both. Zero accountability. No, that's not true. Dennis, you blanketly throw it all the time at Murphy and LaFleur. And look, bad play calling. I'll go with Jan. There's too many times I've heard the excuse that we've been outcoached. Mark Murphy, I saw today, the guy wants to win. He's not happy with what's going on. He wants the ship to be right before he walks away. But he also has to handle the business of football. And at this point in time, you got to bring in Gutekunst. You're probably going to bring in Matt LaFleur, and you're going to say, guys, that you can't continue like this. You would like to think that a change is coming, but they're not overwhelmingly knee-jerk. They did it because Mike McCarthy had lost the team. The first time in the history of the franchise, they fired a coach in season. I think this loss, the back-to-back losses, the fact that you played yourself in position and got gifted yesterday by Cincinnati, a win over the Minnesota Vikings. You got that gifted to you. With all of that being said, you squandered away another opportunity and then keep saying, well, it's not going to happen. I don't have time for that. I don't have time to make those changes. What? Maybe that's part of your problem. And again, you can't keep telling everybody at the podium every damn week we were outcoached, because that means you're not capable of outcoaching the opponent. And that's what the most frustrating thing is. Our last three defensive coordinators have been below average. Is there something going on with the culture within the organization that makes our defensive coordinators that bad? Thanks. I love the show. Jack, that is a great question. That's something I was just talking to a buddy of mine about. Just doing it. Now, defenses across the league are hampered. I mean, the rules have changed and they favor the offense so much. So there is no punch you in the mouth lockdown defense that is just this end-all be-all juggernaut better than the 85 Bears. You don't have that anymore. But you got to be better than 15th in the league continuously, because all you are is mediocre, and mediocre at best, and mediocre unless you have a stellar offense. Mediocre is not going to win you championships. And if you got a mediocre leader, chances are he's got mediocre defensive play. So that's a great question. That's a great question. I can't remember the last time you had somebody that was a punch you in the face. Kevin Green, but he was an assistant, on the defense. We got another hour yet to go. Hang in there. More of the Green and Gold postgame show. Packers take a loss 34-20. They get knocked off by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll be back with a whole lot more right after this.
I need a window.
Baby, it's cold outside.
So where do I go?
Come on, Santa. Go to Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Now is the time to replace your leaky windows and doors. You and Mrs. Claus can get your new windows while putting no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 18 months. Unwrap this gift now, but pay for it later.
More jingle that stays in my pocket.
That's right, Santa. Plus, our elves install year-round and in as little as 1 day. Pella offers lines in luxurious wood to fiberglass and vinyl.
Why not make a New Year's resolution today?
That's the spirit, Santa.
Hella no, pay later.
Absolutely. Put no money down, no payments, and no interest for up to 18 months. But you have to hurry. Offer ends December 31st. Schedule your free consultation today at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offer ends 12/31/2023.
It was a normal day.
He was in some minor accident, a fender bender.
And I had this impulse to call him, but I didn't. I thought I could call him later that week.
He abandoned the car. He came home and he shot himself without ever talking to anyone.
When I came home that night and I found her, they told me that she had shot herself, and I couldn't believe it.
I asked if he was okay.
Taking a gun into your house for protection is a terrible miss.
Once you pull that trigger, that's it. There is no coming back.
65 Americans a day die by gun suicide. Store your gun securely, locked, unloaded, and away from ammunition. Help stop suicide. Learn more at fire.org. By Brady and
This is the Green and Gold Postgame Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome back. 34-20 is the final. The Green Bay Packers defensively stunk today. Couldn't have stunk anymore if they had to. Now the question remains, why in the hell is Joe Barry still at the helm of the Green Bay Packers defense? So we've watched enough in critical moments over the last couple of weeks specifically that would warrant a change. Matt LaFleur says, I don't have time for that, basically. That's not it. That's not what's going to happen. Well, if not now, when? Probably going to happen at the end of the season. Now's not the time for that, he said. We're trying to figure out solutions. Maybe that might be a solution. I think it's legitimate. I think it's an honest question. I credit Bill Huber Bill Huber of Sports Illustrated, covers the Packers on a regular basis, for asking the question. And when Matt said, now's not the time for that, he then said, well, why? And Matt didn't answer. He just said, well, now's not the time for that. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. An awful performance today on behalf of the Green Bay Packers. Offensively, not terrible, but they didn't do anywhere near enough to get the job done. Jordan Love at the podium. Let's take a listen to what Jordan Love has to say.
Jordan, what did you think of how you guys got started offensively and then maybe how things kind of trailed off in the second half?
Yeah, I think the way we started was decent. I think we put some good drives together. I think the only thing that hurt us was getting down to the red zone. I think we didn't capitalize on some of those opportunities and didn't put up enough points right there. So it's definitely what hurt us tonight.
Jordan, you got the two highs of beating Detroit, Kansas City, two playoff teams, and now two teams that are 500 and below in the last 2 weeks. How do you keep that balance as you hit, within the last month, the highest of highs and then not the lowest of lows, but a downward trend?
Yeah, it's definitely, we've had highs and we've had lows. So it's just finding a way to win these games. That's what it comes down to. We found a way a couple of weeks and we haven't found a way. So it's just all about how we bounce back now at this point and respond going forward. Got 3 games left. So, just got to get back to the win column.
Do you feel that it should have been more than 20 for you guys offensively? You feel you performed better than the score might have indicated?
Yeah, I think that comes down to the red zone. I think we were moving the ball fine, and then we just got to the red zone and we're putting up those points, finishing with 7. So I think that's what it is 100%. It's just, we were able to move the ball and just couldn't execute in the red zone.
Jordan, you've now had back-to-back weeks where you've been struggling mightily in the red zone. You went, I think, 1 for 5 against the Giants and again struggling today. What is going on over the last couple of weeks that's leading to these struggles, do you think?
Just not finding ways to get in the end zone. I don't know. It's a lot of things that comes down to. But, it's something that we got to clean up, got to focus on going forward, make sure we get to the best plays and the best execution in the games. But definitely something we're going to have to take a look at and do better at going forward.
Jordan, how much pressure did you guys feel you were under to score points based on just the flow of the game and what was going on the other side?
Yeah, when you got a good offense putting up points, there's definitely, you got to respond as an offense and be able to match that and keep putting up points, just kind of matching what they're doing. So, goes back to just, not finishing in the red zone, but there's always pressure. That's where we got to be able to help our defense out is by matching that offense, put up points.
Jordan, what'd you see on the touchdown to Jaden? maybe you could have run for quite a while, but then you made the throw.
Yeah, once I started scrambling right there, I just kept my eyes downfield and saw Jaden in the back end zone, kind of breaking towards that corner, and just put it out there for him. He made a great catch, getting the toes inbounds. Just kind of play broke down and saw him in the end zone.
What do you guys feel? I mean, as an offense, that's what's the 2017, I think. You feel like, hey, this is the play that's going to get us rolling? Is that kind of the vibe, or what's it like with your?
Say it again, sorry.
So I think the touchdown cuts it to 20-17, right? There's 4 minutes left in the third quarter. Is that where you guys feel, all right, this is what's going to get us really rolling here? What was the vibe for you guys offensively?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in that situation, being down 20-10, it's just we got to put up points. We got to go respond and answer and help our defense out. After that score, yeah, definitely was the vibe that all right, starting to get rolling. Just got to keep that up. Didn't put any more points up after that. Touchdown wise.
As a leader, how do you handle this right now, Jordan? Just 3 games, obviously, in front of you, but you've given away the opportunity that you were in a couple of weeks ago. Locker room, attitude, leadership, what happens here?
Yeah, it's what we've been doing the whole season. Is how do we respond? How do we bounce back? Starts, getting back to work tomorrow, coming in, watching the film, learning from obviously the mistakes, things like that, finding ways to get better. And then, on to the next week, focus on that and make sure we go get a win. But going forward, it's a playoff, same thing we've talked about the weeks before. We got to win every game. So, I don't think we'll have any problem in the locker room being able to bounce back and respond right now.
Jordan, when it came to getting in the red zone, why do you think you guys weren't able to get in the end zone when you got down there?
I'm not sure. There's multiple reasons. I think they did a good job defensively, and I just think we weren't putting up good enough plays, good enough execution, things like that. So there's a number of reasons, but something that we're going to have to look at, figure out a way to fix that going forward.
They sent 7 after you on that 4th down play with the sack. What did you? I don't know what the solution. What could you have done differently under those circumstances? Did you need to make a check there, or because they sent all 7 and they were on top of you pretty quick?
Yeah, it's 4th down, 4th and 10. In a regular situation, try and throw a check down right there, get the ball out quick. But 4th down, I'm trying to hang on to it a little bit longer, make a play downfield, and it's a good call by them. But yeah, in that situation, it's tough. Maybe just throw the ball up and give a guy a chance at that point to go make a play.
What happens on a play where Jaden and Wicks end up in the same spot? Communication with those two.
Yeah, just miscommunication. We were in a cloud over there to that side. We had an out route. They ended up just kind of being in the same spot. So it's just communication more than obviously a critical situation that we didn't convert. So something we got to look at and clean up going forward. Can't have that again.
What do you think of what Wicks gave you today for a guy that at the beginning of the week didn't even know he was going to play?
Yeah, I think he did what he's been doing all season. He's going out there and he's making plays. With his hands, he's making plays after the catch. So he had a big game tonight. Obviously, he's a great player and something we got to just continue to build on going forward. But I think he's getting better every week.
You get him and Jones both back. Well, missing game, but you get him back playing through an injury that he said was pretty rough. And then Jones obviously thought the season was over. What kind of boost does that give you guys as an offense as a whole, seeing those guys playing maybe not completely 100%?
Yeah, that's what you want. You want guys to go out there and battle. It's not easy playing when you're injured, when you're banged up, things like that. So just shows how much these guys care, how much they want to be out there and putting on for the team. So it's awesome when you're able to see guys, battling when they're not 100%. But yeah.
2 more for Jordan. Jordan, I'm not sure how to ask this, but at the start of the season, we're talking about growth and not worrying about results and improvement and development, and then you go out and you beat the Lions and you beat the Chiefs, and expectations change, right? And maybe not for you guys, maybe you thought it was going to happen all along, but you're in a position to maybe do something really special this season, and now you got a ton of adversity. what's the kind of ebb and flow for you guys as players? You always stay so even keeled, but do you feel it either yourself or the guys around you? And how do you figure to get back up on the upswing for the last three?
I mean, I think that's been this whole season. There's been so much adversity that we've had to battle through. Been highs, been lows. Obviously, going on a losing streak, being able to bounce back after that. So it's been tough, And I think the one thing about the team is no one's quitting. Guys are finding ways to continue to battle, find ways to get better. No one's pointing fingers. So those are things you like to see. But obviously, there's like I said, there's so many highs and lows. Been a lot of adversity. So it's all about how we finish the season right now at this point. With these 3 games that we got, just got to go make the most of these opportunities.
There you go. That's Jordan Love at the podium and wrapping things up. Look, Love didn't play bad. The offense didn't necessarily do its job, but Love didn't play terrible. A lot of cliche there. You just got to keep going. You got to get back to work and yada, yada, yada. But at this point in time, man, you're struggling to find answers because you go and look at the schedule and you think, okay, that Lions game the Saints game was a bad game. Okay. They came back and won it, but that was a bad game. It was a bad game against Atlanta, against the Falcons. They had no business winning the Saints game, right? But they did. Give them credit. Now, they had no business winning the game against the Chargers, but they did. Chargers dropped some passes. Okay, you take that, okay? You take that because it all kind of comes out in the wash at the end of the season. But they played a lot of bad football. And I bought into what we started to see against the when they lost to the Steelers 23-19. We saw some positive there, right? And you kind of went, okay. And then they beat the Chargers. And you went, okay, we saw more positive, more offense. It gave us hope. And then they went in and beat the Lions. It was 29-22, but it seemed like it was a much bigger win than that, didn't it? It just did. And then they beat the Chiefs at home. And that seemed like a big win. And since then, to lose to the Giants, and then you back it up with a loss to the Buccaneers, who now climb back to 7-7 and now have the tiebreaker over you for the postseason when it was all right there for you in big moments. Just how many times do you have to see this team in big moments fail? It's really frustrating. So I really feel it for a lot of people. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to give us a shout, please feel free to go ahead and do so. You start to look at things now that you've got that larger than life sample size, so to speak. You know what I mean? 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Let's go to Ralph listening to us in Connecticut. Ralph, how you doing today, man? What's going on? Oh, Ralph is gone. On that note, let's do this. On that note, let's do this. We'll go ahead and take a quick break. 34-20, the Green Bay Packers get knocked off by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Their postseason hopes are fading fast. Now they just got to get a win. And you had Carolina eke out a win this past today. As a matter of fact, over Atlanta. They ended up knocking off Atlanta. So it's not going to be easy. Got to go on the road next week. You got to get a win. You got to stack success. More of the Green and Gold postgame show coming up next.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
We are live. We are at Burkle's one block over, right, within a block and a half, 2 blocks of Lambeau Field, and got a good group of Packers fans in here, which it was more of a celebratory group of Packers fans in here. Everybody disappointed at the way the defense played today. The questions about the defense coordinator, Joe Barry, continue to loom large. Packers knocked off 34-20 today. 34-20, the final. And in case you didn't know it, Baker Mayfield today, he looked like the combination and reincarnation of Johnny Unitas, maybe even some Joe Montana thrown in there. He had an absolute perfect quarterback rating of 158.3, the first opposing quarterback ever to come into Lambeau Field and have a perfect quarterback rating. Excuse me, I think he's the second. The other one was going back to Randall Cunningham years and years ago, if I'm not mistaken. I think CBS put that up, but I think it was Randall Cunningham as well. But he ended up today 22 of 28, 381 yards. He was sacked 5 times. The Packers did put pressure on him, but he threw for 4 touchdowns, threw a 52-yard strike to Moore, threw a 26-yard touchdown to White, a 19-yard touchdown to Evans, and he had 10 completions for 155 yards to Chris Godwin today as well. And he also had a 25-yard strike, and Otten had a 22-yard strike. I mean, it's a lot of big plays today, man. White also had a 22-yard run today. So you got, 5-6 chunk plays today that they were able to rip off? They were able to continue to move the ball on third down 63.6% today, racking up a total of 452 total net yards against his Packers defense. They ran 60 offensive plays today, 99 yards rushing. So the Packers at least held them to under 100 yards, but it didn't matter when they could throw the ball at will today. And the Packers, you had both teams had a turnover today. So it wasn't like you won the turnover battle. The Packers fumbled it twice, lost one of them. And then the Packers got to Baker Mayfield and picked up a fumble and put it on the 3-yard line, so the Packers offense was able to punch it in and actually give some hope and some enthusiasm to this crowd at Lambeau Field today, but just nowhere near enough to be able to overcome a terrible defense. A terrible defense. Here's the drive chart for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The opening drive, 10 plays, 54 yards, field goal. Then they go 2 plays and fumbled away the football. After that, 7 plays, 75 yards, touchdown. Then they go 3 and out. 3 plays, 11 yards, had a penalty to put him behind the 8 ball. They had to punt it away. Then just before the half, 9 plays, 71 yards, field goal. They come out because remember the Packers got the ball. The Packers couldn't do anything with it. 3 plays, I think they went 3 and out. 3 plays, 3 yards, and punted it away. After that, this is the way things went then. 8 plays, 66 yards, touchdown. 9 plays, 64 yards, touchdown. 6 plays, 75 yards, touchdown. And then they took the knee and they closed it out at the end of the game. They ran 8 plays, ripped off 36 yards. Could have scored, made it even worse. Remember, I think it was Reed or White. They ended up sliding and keeping the clock going under 2 minutes, and then they just ran the clock out. 8 plays, 36 yards, and they closed it out by beating the defense up. Defense couldn't get the ball back. That's domination right there. That is domination right there. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670 if you want to give us a shout. Let's go back to Ralph. Ralph listening to us in Connecticut. Ralph, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Bill, what's up?
Nothing. Just hanging out here with a bunch of disappointed Packers fans.
So I found you again after your Boston trip, which looked fantastic.
It was awesome, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad I found you again. So at any rate, if I want to comment on this game, it'd be over a bear and cuss words. So I'm not going to do that. But so I want to talk about the Tavion Wicks tonight.
Uh-huh.
The kid played his hiney off.
Right.
You know, I mean, he catches the ball. He's dragging kids. He's dragging dudes 5 foot. He just played his hiney off.
Yep. I completely agree. He had
And
a couple of
so
really good
I
catches
understand,
today.
I understand the bad. I understand the bad, and I'm with you. Joe Barry got to go. I don't know what LaFleur's doing. I listened to 5 minutes of that clip that you played earlier, and he's telling me it's normal that a linebacker is down 10 fields, or 10 yards, and he's covering a wide receiver like Godwin.
He made
normal?
He made the point for ineptitude. I don't know if you caught it, but he said, heck, we even caught him once today where we had a wide receiver on a linebacker, on an outside backer, but he didn't say we did it over and over and over and over and over again. That's what the Packers did. That's why his own statement should have hung him.
That's what I'm saying, Bill. It's sick. It's like he's standing. He don't know what he's doing.
Right.
But go back to what I just said. I'm frustrated. I could use words that I'm not going to use. That's over a bear. I just want to give credit to Wicks tonight because I was at work today and I shouldn't have been streaming the game, but I did. Don't tell my boss that. But I'm saying that kid Wicks today, he played a hell of a game.
Yep. Completely agree, man. Appreciate the phone call as always. Thanks for finding us too. Love it. Here's the other thing. Not just Wicks, but Reed and that catch he had in the back of the end zone. I highlighted that today over on Twitter, if you follow me, because we just talked about that with Mike Clemens on Friday. I mean, we just talked about that. How Dontavian Wicks and how they worked together, and Jaden Reed talked about how he was a kid, and he started doing that before practices, and you do it in your backyard. You'd always catch a pass and drag your toes. What an incredible – it was a great throw by Jordan Love and a great catch by Jaden Reed. Wicks had a good game today, a 22-yard reception, also had 97 yards total, 16.2 yards per catch today. Reed, 6 catches, 52 yards. Had the 1 touchdown in that corner of the end zone, which was a thing of beauty. Tucker Kraft, 57 yards today. 36 was his long one over the middle, and then ended up started out over the middle, went down the side, looked really good, got beat up, did it, came right over to the sideline, got on a knee for a minute, caught his breath, went right back in, ended up catching a touchdown pass today as well. It wasn't a terrible day offensively. It wasn't. But everything's overshadowed by the ineptitude of the defense today. Everything. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to hit us up? By all means, go ahead and give us a shout. We'd love to hear from you. Love to hear from you. This one's from Jesse. Jesse says, by the way, Jesse listening to us in Shawano, and a shout out to Shawano. So Jesse says, at what point does Joe Barry have to get fired? If Matt LaFleur says now is not the time, when would be the time? Just at the end of the season or after the ship is completely sunk? Please, Matt, explain that to us, as the fans that pay to see the game are hard-earned money going to the tickets. Appreciate listening to us in Shauna. Thanks so much. Zane says Matt LaFleur is a clown. He tricks people into thinking he knows what he's talking about, but in reality, he shouldn't even be a head coach in high school. What the F is going on? Fire this guy. This one, let's see here. I don't want to get into everybody else's teams. Who cares? Donkey Kong, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. Barry won't get another contract, Thomas says. Don't worry, he's out. The question is who would you take over Barry right now on the staff? I think you take I reeled off three guys. You could probably go Jerry Montgomery, who is the current defensive line and running game coordinator. You could go Greg Williams, more in the passing game. There's the inside linebackers coach, Kirk Olivadotti. He's been around a while. He kind of gets it, you know. The analyst is Tim Lester. But you probably go with one of those three guys. And they would then take it over. And all you're looking for is change. Just change, something different. You're looking for aggressiveness. Like I've said, if you're going to go down swinging. You know what I mean? Go down flailing, man. Don't go down by just taking it in the face at week in and week out. And that's the problem. 877-867-1670. 34-20, Packers get knocked off. We got a lot more broadcasting live at Burkle's, one block over. Stay tuned. Couple more segments. We're going to join Mike Clemens over at Lambeau Field, get his take on this. I thought Bill Huber, excellent job of going back at Matt LaFleur today to say, look, when he said now's not the time to fire the defensive coordinator, and Bill said, well, why? Matt didn't have an answer for him. Stopped right there, just said, well, now's not the time. That's not an answer. I thought it was a legitimate question. Now, he didn't come at him again and hold his feet to the fire because you're not going to get a different answer. But I thought it was a great follow-up to just say, why? Tell us why. And Matt LaFleur couldn't, and made a statement by further doubling down saying, well, we've got to fix some of these problems. I'm worried about finding solutions. When indeed the firing of Joe Barry might be your solution. More of the Green and Gold postgame show next.
This is the Green and Gold postgame show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. The Green and Gold Postgame Show continues. We are at Burkle's, 1 block over, just a couple of blocks away from our friends over there at Lambeau Field that are trying to figure things out. Matt LaFleur says he's got to figure out solutions. Now is not the time, basically. Now is not the time to start thinking about firing coaches. He's got to figure out solutions. And as I said, going to break, maybe the solution is to fire the coach. The defensive coordinator not getting it done and hasn't for quite some time. He's had some successes, don't get me wrong, but continuously ending up as a mediocre defense season in and season out is not going to get you to the promised land anytime soon. You got to start somewhere, and to say that this is just simply not acceptable after today's really poor performance, something that clearly everybody could see, and we're all scratching our head wondering why in the world is Godwin matched up on a linebacker, and why is he running so free over the seam? The same crossing pattern. So we'll get into that a little bit more. Mike Clemens going to join us coming up here in just a little bit. Mike's over at Lambeau Field coming out of the locker room. Let's get back to the phone calls. 877-867-1670. Getting your reaction. If you want to chime in, do it. We got Eric listening to us in Wausau. Eric, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Well, wish was a little bit better. That was pretty tough to watch today. Just wanted briefly, I know you got Mike coming up here quickly. Eric Stokes, why was he even on the field today? Continually getting burned, avoiding tackles, not shedding blocks. And the other point I wanted to make regarding the linebacker play is, Walker may as well be a free safety. right? The way they play him, it's no wonder why we get gashed on the run so often. Is that there is zero middle linebacker presence. So just wanted to make those couple of points and get your thoughts.
No, I appreciate it. I saw Quay Walker today chasing plays. He's got speed. He can go sideline to sideline. He got into the backfield a couple of times, and he's got speed. I saw a couple of runs up the gut today, too, where, he's getting blocked backwards. And by the time the play is made, then he comes rushing up, where he got pushed out of position. I honestly, at this point, I don't know if it's the way they're utilizing him or if it's his play. And it's really hard at times because you're thinking to yourself, why is this guy now solely responsible for the middle when Devondre Campbell is locked up on Chris Godwin, who's running across in a seam wide open? That's leaving Quay Walker as the sole responsibility over the middle. I mean, look, it happens. I get it. I understand defenses, but I don't know what to make of him just yet. Because there are times when you watch this guy play, he is you understand why they chose him. He's got an ability to tackle, and he's all over the field. And there are times he just drags down plays from behind coming from the middle linebacking position. So I get it, but sometimes I don't know if it's the player or if it's the scheme that he's playing in. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know why sometimes but then again, it could be second-year growing pains. It could be not. I mean, I can go through a laundry list of things and make excuses. But at this point in time, you got a full season from last year under your belt. You got a majority of this season under your belt. You got to start knowing it. Right place, right time, unless the scheme is not allowing you to play to the best of your ability. He was a stuffer, man, at Georgia. I love the way the guy plays. It's tell me this. We saw it happen with Darnell Savage. Comes in, he's a hitter. I mean, he's a hitter. He wants to put his shoulder into guys. A year later, he's not. He's nowhere to be found. Has a down year. Gets banged up. Comes back. He's kind of a hitter in the doghouse, then out of the doghouse. It's like, what is it about coming to Green Bay that, for lack of a better term, and I don't want to blanketly throw this out there and act like this is the rule, but what is it about guys that come to Green Bay that lose that aggression? Is it just you have to stay within the scheme and you can't play loose and you can't do this and you can't do that and this is the way we're going to play? We're going to play on our heels and keep things in front of you? Because that completely takes away your aggression. I get it. You have to have a controlled aggression. But it's like, what is it about guys that come here and lose the aggression? And I just don't know. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Gino said we get a good defensive coordinator. That puts players in good positions. The players would then play better, don't you think? Yeah. I mean, I want to believe so. I've always said coaches should put you in the right position at the right place at the right time to make plays. It's up to you to make the plays. Now, if you get a guy that's constantly getting burned, okay, I get it. But when you see a guy constantly getting burned, you also have to make an adjustment to put that player in a better position to be successful. You're only as good as your weakest link. Craig says, why would Matt fire Joe? Douglas spoke out about the dog blanket calls, and he got escorted out the door. Pretty much. I mean, I know Goody made the reasoning as to why they went ahead and made the move, but still don't agree with getting rid of your best defender at this point. Michael says you got to change the defensive coordinator position before you actually judge the talent on the field. I'm kind of in that camp. I'm kind of agreeing with you, Michael. I do. Michael, a different Michael says LaFleur is not the leader. He's afraid to fire anybody. Pete says they draft athletes, not hitters. I want Branch from Alabama. I heard the Packers thought he was too slow. On and on and on. and everybody continues to chime in. Gino says, I wanted Wade Phillips. They hired Barry. Well, they brought in Barry, and then Vic Fangio was on the market, and look what he's done to the defense in Miami. He's turned that around. There's some guys that have just been proven better coordinators than they are head coaches, and they have a tendency to get the job done. Vincent says, Barry needs to be gone tomorrow. We see all the problems that he's created. Jack says, I cannot believe that they even still are hanging on to Joe Barry. Why does Matt LaFleur have such loyalty to him? I think you've proven, when you talk about loyalty, I also think the Packers as an organization have proven that they will give you every chance in the world to fix things. There does have to come a point, though, where you just have to say enough's enough, and you gotta cut bait. And I think just putting a new attitude and a fresh spin on this would be, to me, the way to go. It's not getting better. If it was getting better and you saw a lot of growth, that's one thing. But it's just not getting better. It's just not. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, please feel free to go ahead and do so. What else do we have here? This is Jake. Who would be the dream coordinator that you would choose? Well, okay, I want to go back to that. Hang on a second here. Hold on. So I want to go back to that. If I want to go with a coordinator, okay, right now, I might find whoever the best assistant is under Steve Wilkes out in San Francisco. Because you're not going to get Steve Wilkes, right? So who do you go with after that? Who would you look at going after that? Would you go say, you can't go after Patrick Hagedorn because Patrick Hagedorn is the assistant head coach, and you're going to have to make him the assistant head coach. Johnny Holland. Johnny Holland has been around a long time, 36 years of experience. He's seen a lot of defenses. He knows a lot of aggression. He's been around a lot of organizations. Johnny Holland might be the guy. He might be the guy that I go after and just say, hey, let's bring in a fresh look. Maybe Johnny Holland from San Francisco. That might be the guy that I go after. All right, let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We're going to come back. When we do, Mike Clemens is over inside Lambeau Field. Let's do this. We're going to talk to Mike when we come back. We are broadcasting live. We are at Burkle's, one block over. Crowd's kind of thinning out. Not a lot of joy today here in Green Bay. But hey, Packers fans are still here. They're still enjoying themselves, still watching this Cowboys game, and the Cowboys are going down in epic fashion right now just before half, 21-3. They're losing to Buffalo right now. And again, I would go Johnny Hollins if indeed you don't go after Jim Leonard. Jim Leonard's another guy that would be on everybody's radar. We all know that. So that's another guy people want to see brought in. Stay tuned. We got Mike Clemens coming up next on the Green and Gold Postgame Show.
This is the Green and Gold Postgame Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Packers will resume in 1 minute. Phil Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. We are glad to have you. The Packers get knocked off today, 34-20 in ugly fashion. Defensively, they had absolutely no answer for Baker Mayfield today. None. No answer at all between him and Chris Godwin, man. They just owned the Green Bay Packers. And Evans and Moore and White and Cleft all got into the end zone today. Just a bad day at the office for the Green Bay Packers. We now go over to Lambeau Field. Mike Clemens standing by. And Mike, just a lot of interesting stuff coming out of that Packers locker room today. Yeah, some positives. Don't get me wrong, offensively speaking, but a lot of interesting stuff coming out of that locker room today.
The game started out with a running attack featuring Aaron Jones, who looked great. It looked like he had his speed. 5 carries for 35 yards. Then the offense breaks down. And, I began to wonder as the game wore on, they've run a totally different offense without Aaron Jones in there with A.J. Dillon. Now they have to shift that, right? And you take out Christian Watson as just a weapon, and now you go back to something you haven't done in 5 or 6 weeks. It looked like that way to me on offense. But now we got more problems in terms of health of receivers. It seems like Reed and Wicks, these 2 great young receivers, every time they catch a ball, like every second or third catch, they got to go to the sideline. They're banged up. And today it was Jaden Reed. It wasn't on the touchdown. He told me it was a few plays before that. And after we had just talked about toe drags on Friday,
right?
In order to perform that, he damaged his toe. It could be bad. He limped out of the injury tent. They said it was questionable. He didn't return to the game. And we talked to Jaden Reed, though, today about did they put some new plays in on the offense today?
I don't know. We definitely have, different looks every game. I think they throw a lot of different things at us overall, we ran a little bit different. I came out the backfield a little bit today in different ways. So I definitely think that helped a little bit. So no doubt.
Mike, today was one of those days where you thought to yourself, the offense just, again, looked like it sputtered. And how much, I hate to say it because, he's not some kind of a juggernaut pass catcher, but how much do they miss Christian Watson?
They do as a threat. They miss Jordan Love being as accurate as he was against the Lions, against the Chiefs, a game where Watson was in there and played a huge role early on in the games. And for the second game in a row now, you got Love going wide right and wide left on some of these plays. The timing seems to be off. And Tucker Kraft talked about how much the offense does miss Christian Watson.
Just being able to have all of your bodies, it just takes a lot of pressure off the coaches too. Because they don't have to, coaches don't have to remind people that haven't been in the system or haven't had to step into a role yet, the details of every single snap. So it takes a lot off the coaches' plays to have our key players. So yes, of course, having Christian out, that hurts us. Having anybody out who's been a starter will hurt you.
The other side of the ball, Mike, the defense looked really bad. They, God, like I said, Baker Mayfield, a perfect passer rating coming into Lambeau Field. Chris Godwin just seemed to be open and, being guarded by linebackers today. What a tough day for the defense.
Well, and it started, though, off on a good foot when 55 and Igbare makes this beautiful play. It's the perfect outside rush guy where he gets in there, or actually behind Baker Mayfield, strips him the ball, gets a sack, and then recovers the football deep in the Buccaneers' territory where Jordan Love's able to turn over and score and get some points out of it. Kenny Clark, though, said, boy, after that, a lot of missed opportunities.
We just had a lot of missed opportunities. If we didn't get any pressure, it was getting the ball out pretty quick on some of the plays with the quick game and, just making plays.
Today was the day where they got him numerous times, exactly where they wanted him. Long third down situations. And Mike, I can't remember the last time I just had zero confidence in a team getting off the field. They could not get off the field today on third down.
Yeah. I mean, 3rd and 15. You've got those guys, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 20. And over again, Baker Mayfield backs up, maybe some play action. But if he could send usually Chris Godwin right out about 15, 20 yards around the hash or the numbers, turn around in front of the safeties, boom. There's another 20-yard game over and over and over again. And Kenny talked about not being able to get converted on those long downs.
Yeah, it's tough. We had them in a lot of, whether it was 2nd and long or 3rd and long situations, and we couldn't get off the field. It's tough, any defense, and allowing them to keep drives going and keep us on the field. It's tough. So we got to be able to be better there, look at the film, be critical of ourselves and figure it out.
Which, at this point, Mike, I guess for the type of day it was, a lot of that's just cliche. I get it. He's right. He's not saying anything wrong, but it's kind of cliche. It's like, at what point, you're looking for something. And in the meantime, Tampa Bay, it was like they couldn't do anything wrong today. And Baker Mayfield was on the money.
He was. I mean, he had a career day. Of course, this is his 3rd time in a row. He came here 3 years ago, threw 4 picks and lost with the Browns. He came here with the Rams and lost that one. And today he starts out the game with Enagbari drilling him in at the 1 or 2 yard line and giving the ball to Jordan Love to score. And he turns that around to end up with that, passer rating of 158.3. And after throwing all of those conversion 3rd down balls to Chris Godwin, on one play, he happens to, late in the game, with about 6 minutes left, he sees David Moore on the right-hand side. Same kind of dump-off pass, about 15 yards, only Moore takes it to the house.
We just practicing all week, and we said that the linebacker was either going to come out or stay where he was at. And, we hit it just like we said and kind of just let the rest take over itself. Just not look back, just take off running.
So was there that moment where you saw that the right where we wanted to be on this play?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And then once we started going with the play, after I caught the ball, I just didn't know what else to do with it. Take off running. Let's go.
Get to the goal line. Did you feel a little tug on the football from behind?
Oh, for sure. I definitely felt it once I crossed the line, but yeah, it was close. I just didn't really care. I kind of knew I was across the goal line, so just started trying to celebrate. Heck no, if you go back and look, I was trying to celebrate with Mike and just get our little celebration going. I didn't even want to think about it. I just automatically thought it was a touchdown. So, yeah.
And Mike, kudos to Rudy Ford for not giving up on the play, because he could have. At least he made it close.
Right. David Moore goes 52 yards, and Rudy catches him just within inches of the goal line to try and knock that ball out. As David Moore says, I was going to go over there and celebrate with Mike Evans. Well, he did it, an inch too early. And it was a funny line we'll play on the show tomorrow that Todd Bowles had to say about that. By the way, while I think about it, Devin White, the linebacker, he just told Bowles this morning, I can't go today. He goes, I don't know why, but he told me he can't, so we put in Britt, who's doing pretty good at inside linebacker. Baker Mayfield, on how he got to Chris Goodwin over and over again today. 10 catches, 155 yards, averaging 15.5 yards per catch, and 25 yards was his longest of the day with no touchdowns, just moving the chains.
Guy's just so consistent, man. Can't say enough about him. A true stud, true professional. Has never complained, has never done any of that, just done everything he needs to do. And today he was balling. Just some clutch catches, that's for sure. Didn't get in the end zone, but was definitely the guy to keep the chains moving consistently today and set up everybody else. So couldn't be happier for Chris.
Packers needed this one today because now the Buccaneers not only have a game better than they do in the postseason standings in the fight for a wild card, but now they've won head-to-head as well. And to lose another game, the second in December for Matt LaFleur and another one at Lambeau Field, and to lose it like this, painful day today.
Yeah, whereas the Bucs, they're now in good spot, now to lock down that kind of crummy South Division. And after losing 3 in a row, now they have won 3 in a row. And I talked to Godwin after the game about, getting to that point here at Lambeau.
So we felt like we're playing for our playoff lives, and I think you kind of saw that, throughout the game. They did a good job. They were fighting us, the entire way, but like I said, we got a lot of grit on this team.
Is it just me, or somewhere about 20 yards downfield off tackle, there's a spot with your name on it? Yeah. I mean, what was going on today?
Yeah. I don't know. I have to go check the film and really see, but I think that me and Baker were connecting. Dave was calling some really good plays, but I think that the ball was going all over the place. I think we had a lot of guys that, that popped up and were making a lot of plays. Demo had a really big play for us. Mike had a big play for us. Rashad was running the ball well. Chase came in like O-line. I think it was just a total team victory.
Were there things you saw this week that said to you, if we get that timing right, we could just keep chipping away at this?
I don't know if it was necessarily something specifically this week, but we understand that. We just got to keep, just keep working, just keep kind of putting the work in, and then eventually, things will turn around for us.
Mike, the comment that everybody's going to be talking about tomorrow is when Matt LaFleur, and I give Bill Huber credit because he asked him twice, is it time to make a change at defensive coordinator? He said, now's not the time. He said, I'm worried about right now trying to fix some of these problems. And he said, well, why? And Matt said, well,
you know what Joe Barry said?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know what Joe Barry said? The reason that they missed that key play with Carrington Valentine against New York because he couldn't hear the signal. Yeah. Today they had Tyler Davis, the backup tight end, holding a sign. I mean, Bill, they're making it up as they go.
Wow. Great stuff, Mike. We'll talk tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill.
One more time before a crowd of 77,275 on hand to see it at Lambeau Field. It was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 34 and the Packers 20. We're going to talk about it a lot tomorrow on the program. Hopefully you'll join us. Until then, time for us to go.